What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we return to the Mummy Saga to take a look at 1942's The Mummy's Tomb, starring Lon Chaney Dick Ferran, John Hubbard, Elise Knox, Wallace Ford, Turin Bay, George Zucco, and Glenn Strange. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And like I said during the introduction, today we return to the Mummy Saga and we take a look at the first film with Lon Chaney Jr. taking over the role of Kharis that was previously played by Tom Tyler. Now, our movie opens and it's been 30 years since the events of The Mummy's Hand. One evening in the fictional town of Mapleton, Massachusetts, Steve Banning tells the story of Kharis, the mummy, to his family and dinner guests at his home. As he concludes the story with the successful destruction of the mummy, the scene switches back to the tombs in Egypt. Having survived their supposed demise, Doheb explains the legend of Kharis to his follower, Mehmet Bey. And after passing on the instructions for the use of the tana leaves and assigning the task of terminating the remaining members of the Banning expedition and their descendants to Bey, Doheb passes away. Bey and Kharis then depart Egypt and they journey to the United States. Bey takes the caretaker's job at the Mapleton Cemetery, sets up shop, and administers the Tana brew to Kharis. The monster then sets out to avenge the desecration of Anaka's tomb, and his first victim is none other than Stephen Banning, whom the mummy kills as the aging archaeologist prepares for bed that evening. Since the sheriff and the coroner are unable to come up with a lead for the killer, the news media begins to converge on Mapleton in order to learn more about the story. Babe then arrives on the scene after learning of his friend's death, but when Jane Banning, Steve's sister, is killed, Babe becomes convinced that it is the work of the mummy. Babe meets with the sheriff and the coroner, but he is unable to convince them of the identity of the culprit. Babe tells his story to a newspaperman at the local bar, but is killed by Kharis almost immediately afterwards. Dr. John Banning then enlists the help of Professor Norman in order to solve the puzzle of the grayish mark, which has been found on all the victims' throats. Norman's test results prove that Babe had been right all along. The substance was indeed from the mold of a mummy. Meanwhile, Babe has plans of his own. With the knowledge that Dr. Banning and his girlfriend Isabel are planning to be married, Babe sets out to disrupt their nuptials. Babe himself has become smitten with Isabel and sends Kharis on a mission to bring her to him. Kharis initially balks, but finally adheres to Babe's request. In the dark of the night, the monster stealthily enters the Evans' home and abducts the fainting girl and takes her to the cemetery caretaker's hut. Babe unveils his plans to the reluctant Isabel, that she is to become his bride as a high priest of Karnak and bear him an heir to the royal line. Banning and the rest of the townspeople have become convinced that their recent Egyptian visitor may be involved in the recent crimes. Arriving in force, they confront Babe outside the hut, and Kharis slips away with Isabel, unbeknownst to the horde, and Babe attempts to shoot Banning, but ends up being gunned down by the sheriff. The creature is then observed heading towards the Banning estate, and the group begins pursuit, many of which bear torches. Inside the home, Banning holds Kharis at bay with the torch while he rescues Isabel from the mummy's grasp. But John inadvertently sets fire to some curtains. With the aid of the sheriff and the coroner, John and Isabel escape via a trellis as Kharis pursues them out onto the upstairs balcony. The townspeople keep the mummy from escaping by hurling additional torches at him, and the monster perishes in the flames of the thoroughly consumed house. Our movie ends as Dr. John Banning and Isabel Evans wed in short order, as he has received his draft notice and is due to report for his tour of duty in World War II. I do enjoy the fact that this film continued the story of Kharis that was set up in The Mummy's Hand, continued the story of Stephen Banning and Babe. I didn't like the fact that they jumped ahead 30 years, though. That part kind of lost me a little bit. Not that they can't do a time jump like that, but I just felt that it was too soon after that film to try to jump that far ahead. 5, 10 years, I could have understood. 30, I think, is a bit of a stretch. I liked that the original actors for Stephen Banning and Babe were back, and the same with Endoheb. The original actor for him was back. I just feel like there was more meat on this bone to tell a story of revenge for, as opposed to having Endoheb die within the first 10 minutes, and then for Kharis killing both Babe and Stephen Banning. If one of them had perished, okay, I could understand that. But not both of them. Not right away in the sequel. Drag it out a little bit. You know, like we talk about in wrestling, the slow build, long-term booking. If you want to kill Babe because he's the sidekick and he's the easily expendable one, okay. Even though I enjoyed that character in the previous film, I could understand why he would need to perish. But you don't kill off Dr. Banning yet. I didn't mind that they had relatives for him taking over the role, but I feel like there was more to be told for Stephen Banning, personally. What? I don't know. But I just feel like there was so much left to explore and more revenge that Endoheb and Kharis could have taken if they hadn't time jumped 30 years. What do you guys think out there? Those of you that have seen The Mummy's Tomb, let me know. I'm curious. Pop, I'm looking at you, and if you have to go back and rewatch it, please do that. But the rest of my viewers and my fans, those of you that have seen this film, let me know what you think. When it comes to my rating, unfortunately, the time jump, like I said, and the fact that they killed Stephen Banning and Babe definitely brings the film down for me a little bit. I did enjoy Lon Chaney as Kharis, but I feel, honestly, that Tom Tyler was a little bit better in the role. Lon Chaney, and I adore Lon Chaney Jr., y'all should know this by now, but I feel like Tom Tyler really nailed it and brought a little bit of a sympathetic vibe to Kharis, while Lon Chaney's version, at least in this film, seemed very lost, very soulless. And I get the fact that it's a mummy. I get the fact that he's not supposed to have a soul. But there was just something lost in the translation, at least with this film, for me. So when it comes to my rating on this one, I give The Mummy's Tomb 2 out of 5 stars. Again, those of you out there that have seen it, let me know what you think. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching later on in the day on demand, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Whatever you do, though, when you get out there on social media, let's try to get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag Statboy Approved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, when we return to the Frankenstein saga as well as the Wolfman saga, and we take a look at the first monster mashup film, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, from 1943, starring Lon Chaney Jr., Iona Massey, Patrick Knowles, Lionel Atwell, Bela Lugosi, Maria Ospinkaya, and Dwight Fry. You're not going to want to miss out on that one. Right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Right back here on an all-new Renegades Reviews tomorrow, right here in our normal time slot. But before we get to that, in less than an hour, in fact, at the top of the next hour, over on the Jeff Meacham Network, tune in to an all-new episode of The Dads, Not Always on Wrestling, as me and Jeff discuss the top 10 songs to play at a Halloween party. It's going to be lots of stuff covered there. Movie songs, TV songs, songs that are kid-friendly, because we all know that kids are going to be involved for any good Halloween party for at least the first hour, hour and a half. Called favorites, the whole kit and caboodle. You're not going to want to miss out on that at the top of the hour on the Jeff Meacham Network. All my loyal fans and viewers out there that tuned in for the premiere, leaving your thoughts and comments over here, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Likewise, all my loyal fans and viewers out there tuning in a little bit later in the day, watching on demand, leaving your thoughts and comments down here. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of my loyal fans and viewers going back in the archives, watching old episodes of Renegade Wrestling, Dads on Wrestling, Stat Boy Rants, After the Bell with Jeff Meacham, the original audio format version of Renegades Reviews, trying to help me get those viewership hours boosted up so I can eventually get monetized, make some money on this endeavor. Thank you very much to each and every one of you guys that tuned in with me today and joined me, and I will see you guys next time.